brother, so she'd probably say that. But, yeah, I'm an HVAC technician. I've been working in the field for about, actually, not that often, but about 6 months now. Really enjoying it so far. Well, I guess, first off, HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration. A little bit about kind of myself before I start. I kind of started off going to college, the kind of traditional route, and I ended up in business. Didn't enjoy that. I switched to education, teaching. Didn't enjoy that, and I kind of found myself just trying to do more technical field, and I kind of found that the job market was booming for it, and so I said, heck with it, got, and I really enjoyed it so far. It's been fun. You have to excuse me. I feel like I'm the best presenter, but we'll get this going, and I'll see how good I can do for you guys and see if I can teach you a little bit about it. Sarah, seeing my screen now, right? I got it all set up, right?
Yes, so
all right. Okay. Sorry about that. Yep, there you go. HVAC Technician. I guess I'll start off with a few fast facts. These are just kind of basic facts about the industry to begin with. Like the recommended degree level is certificate or higher. Basically, that just means you need a high school graduate diploma and to get the certification to be an HVAC technician. You go to a technical school and do a 1 or 2 year program. Typical salary is about $43,000, $44,000. Salary range can vary there. The number of jobs, that's the 2012 number, but it's been growing every year. As you can see, the annual growth rate is about 5% per year, which means there's about 15,000, 14,000 more jobs every year. So it's a very booming market. I know specifically in where I live, I'm in Minnesota. It's a really huge growing market. In California, I believe it's growing a lot too because of the green economy. That's the green movement that's going on out there. Move on a bit. Got a little cute with the presentation. I just decided to throw some things there, made it a little fun. But job outlook, part of the reason there's been such a growth lately in the HVAC community is because of retirement. It's just kind of like a nice, beneficial time that a lot of people who are in the industry are getting older and they're starting to retire, so there's a lot of openings there. And as you can see, it's supposed to increase about 28% during our decade we're in right now. So it's going to get even bigger and more popular as we go. And some add here, but one thing is a lot of HVAC companies there's a lot of small business HVAC companies out there that kind of dominate the market, but there's some huge, big companies that kind of work more like I don't know if you have Bonfi out there, but they're just a big company. You may be working with small mom and pop places, or you could go to a bigger company. All right. This is the economy. This is kind of what I mentioned earlier about California. But HVAC technicians expect to play an important role in the emerging green economy. They will include the distribution, installation, and maintenance of energy efficient products. It's basically just because a lot of energy solutions are going more green efficient these days. And then in HVAC specifically, a lot of the stuff we use like refrigeration has had to go away from certain older models of refrigeration that contain a lot of stuff that's harmful to the environment. The ozone depletion kind of due to some of these refrigerants. So we slowly, phasing out of circulation. Sorry, that's the word. And starting to go with more green solutions. And then after that, this is kind of a basic overview of what job is. Technician work wherever the equipment to be installed or repaired is located. Usually the company will provide you with a truck, and you'll drive to these places. Technicians working outdoors are exposed to all types of weather. So, in Minnesota, it gets really hot in the summer, really cold in the winter. So you can be working anywhere, sometimes outside, to negative 10 degrees out here. But you guys in sunny California probably will just worry about the heat. The majority of technicians work at least a 40-hour week. That's the average, but then during peak season, such as the summers where people need to either get the conditioning or heating fixed, work overtime or irregular hours, including weekends. The workout has a setup where you do overtime once every 2 weeks. That's kind of set into your schedule. And then you also have on-call periods where you're not working, but they can call you in for an emergency job. It only happens about twice or 2 weeks, and I think so far as I've been working, I've only been called in once, so it's kind of like off, but you get a little bit of pay for it. Now kind of like the two types of HVAC careers. I mean, it's oversimplifying, but basically there's two types: residential and commercial. And residential, as the name implies, mainly with residences like houses and small apartment buildings, smaller units. And whenever I say units, it just means like, conditioning unit, the box you have or whatever. And they're more basic. They're easier to understand. They're smaller. They're easier to deal with. Residential, that's a 1-year certificate. You go to your school for 1 year and you get certificate residential. Then there's commercial. Commercial, as it would sound, mainly with large units and buildings or businesses, like an supermarket, freezers, rooftop air conditioning units. They're fairly big, like 5, 6 chillers, they call them. Kind of usually was used in like larger colleges. They basically just are air conditioning systems. There is a 2-year certification. The way it works is that for the first year, you're just going to learn the basic residential stuff. And if you want the commercial, you take the second year after that, and they get more in depth with the big machines. Like eventually give you mostly the overview of how everything works and kind of teach skills you need for the job. And then commercially get specific with it and kind of go machine by machine basis. Because if it's residential, it's usually you're working with the most basic stuff. I'm a residential worker, but the company I work with does commercial work as well. And sometimes it's hard work because, like, today I was unloading a grocery store freezer because their freezer broke down. We had to unload everything in the freezer and doing like that. But that's just the grunt work. Usually, once you get into the business, you won't have to do stuff like that. There's another little cute pictures of that in because I got a little bit bored. But never work, mainly what you're dealing with. Heating, refrigeration, and also ventilation to a degree. These systems consist mainly of mechanical, electrical, and refrigeration components. Those are, the kind of technical term for, electrical wiring, mechanical as in motors and stuff like that. Refrigeration as the actual cold refrigerant. I basically came into this job with no technical skills whatsoever. I was basically a teacher. So all skills can be taught to you fairly easily, but basically the skills you need are electrical wiring, learn how to correct wire units, basically electricity, and then how to read electrical diagrams. They're very important for the job. It's basically the units themselves have a little diagram on the side of the machine that tells how it's supposed to be wired. So you can't remember how you're supposed to wire something. There's always these helpful little things to help you. Mechanical processes, understand how certain motors work, and making and installing depth vents. Those are the most mechanical processes we usually use are motors or compressors. They can move the refrigerant around the system, or run the fans that move the air through the duct work. And then sometimes if you kind of go into the more commercial aspect of it, you have to learn how to make and install the duct vents. The big metal like rectangles that run through things and move the air around. Refrigeration. This is actually more complicated areas of it because it's a lot more science-based. You basically laws of thermodynamics and how that relates to air conditioning and refrigeration. That section kind of challenging to understand, kind of interesting, but also very interesting. Basically, even if you understand the science behind it, there's always these helpful charts they give you and carry around that teach and basically just tell you what you need to know about this certain type of refrigerant. Even if you don't understand why it does it, they'll tell you what it should be. So even if you have a hard time with science, like I kind of struggled with, they will make it easier for you. And, so basically, especially residential, this requires you to talk to customers face to face. You're going to these people's houses and being in there, and you're basically invading their homes. So you got to be respectful, polite, and try not to be too much of a nuisance, while also dealing with some of the tougher customers who like to, they're just hard to deal with because they're having a bad day or whatever. So you just got to learn how to deal with people like that. Big education needed. You only need a high school degree to get started. At least a year of hands-on training. What that is usually like, at least in my case, and what I've found with most of the people I worked with and also going to school with, is that a company can search for jobs midway through your school year or even at the beginning of the school year. And since it's such a growing market, a lot of companies will hire you on before you are certified to give your own sort of training. You still need to finish the schooling to get the actual certification from a college or a middle school. They will treat you there as well, and you will be paid there. At least most of the time you'll be paid. Some places, it goes business to business, some places they just offer you an internship or whatever. HCFC and CSC certification, that's just a fancy, those are just types of refrigerants. I need to take a online test. I think it took me an hour to complete the test, and it should get your certification. It's almost like a driver's license exam, if you remember doing that, where you just, answer certain questions about basic stuff that they'll give you a whole packet how to study up on. Fairly simple. Like a tech school, that's the basic program. That's only for commercial, at least out here in Minnesota. California might do it a little bit differently, but usually it is done as 1 year for residential, 2 years for commercial. More job opportunities and to pay a little bit better. That's why it's kind of there. But residential gives you a little bit more freedom. If you like talking to people, it works for you as well. And hands-on trading, again, with the company that if they hire you on early, which usually it's a very scenario if you want to get yourself out there early. People will be looking for you. But, of course, it's a guarantee. It depends on the market in your area as well. But it is booming. I feel like I'm rambling, but I think we're going well. Basically, it's about advancing in the field. Opportunities for advancement are based on competency tests, test your skill level. And that just means, companies will eventually say, like, you've been a technician for a while. Would you like to be an installer? And a technician just goes into repair things, but instructions to install the brand new units. And installers in some companies work off commission so they can get more money. And so they just test you a bit to teach you, kind of like they install this air conditioning unit into this house. It's like a test house. It's like a warehouse. And they just test you to see if you're up to the job. And then so on and so forth, the technician to installer, to so on and so forth. And then you move up based on your experience and your skill levels. As you get better job or as you work longer, just like, job should be, you're going to start to move up. I know I've worked with a lot of young kids who want to, go to the highest level fast, but it doesn't really happen that fast, as in it won't happen within the first year. You're going to just advance, supervisory position. So just put me to take your time, just like any other job. And even base level pay, if you're working for a good company, is going to be pay. So, and then your special licensure for handling refrigerants, and it's in most training programs. Like I took the test through my school. Most likely, if you go to the school, they'll do it for you as well. They'll help you out with it. There's like a $20, $30 fee to take the test. And my school covered that. Again, based on the school, we'll see what happens there. And that's just to be sure, because there's different classes of refrigerants. There's 4 different classes, and if you want to get full licensure, well, there's 3 different classes and then full licensure. Full is more affordable option. You get that, you're good. Short advantages and disadvantages: good money, stable job. It is challenging, both physically and mentally at times, but it's not overly so. Advancement opportunities, at least, I guess to go the example of where I work, what they do when you're a full technician level, every year you work for the company, they raise your salary by $1 per hour. And obviously that's a really good company there. Not company's going to do that, but really good advancement opportunities in this field. Job perks such as benefits, vehicle. Like I said, they give you a vehicle and business contacts. If you don't like the company, you'll meet other people within the HVAC world, and you can always move on. Some of the disadvantages, these are just kind of more of the hard-working areas. Dark areas, that mainly applies to ventilation. If you're installing ventilation, you're usually in the dark, dark in the small in the ceiling or something like that, which is kind of tough. You don't like that stuff. Shock electrocution, it's very rare, but there are some. You are working with electricity. It's going to be that threat there. Be careful. It's very small voltages. Unless you're working with large commercial machines, you got to be extra careful. We're working on rooftop air units, but if you don't like heights, it's not a bad thing. Cramped workspace and ducts. Weather, because you're working outside a lot of air conditioning systems are kind of based outside. And then working conditions, because you can really get it. Basically, because people want their comfort, they want their heating, and they want their air conditioner, or they want their heater in the winter. If they're going to call you out, and you're most likely going to have to fix it in whatever weather it is. That's one of the bad things about the job. But if you don't like it so much, it's not too hard. And this is the kind of basic slide I put together for earnings. I was able to find some kind of things. This is an example of different types of jobs. kind of base pay, hours per hour, and this all just averages out. But these are just kind of examples of what you can work for. You can work for the local government, you're working in government buildings and doing their HVAC stuff. My teacher actually used to work for a hospital, a municipal hospital, and he found it pretty just enjoyable. But he basically did all back in the hospital. And then the wholesalers, guys who sell all the stuff, their maintenance guys, the commercial, residential, direct selling establishment. Again, more people. Wholesalers sell the parts. Direct selling tends to sell actual units. Contractors, that's more small. That's more small this area because you get contracted out to just do ventilation or air conditioner or heating inside of a building that's being built. The lowest typical earning can be about $12.19 an hour, but top earnings. This is all based on 2012 statistics. I couldn't find recent statistics except for the fact that salaries are going up. So even back then it was great, and they should be going higher in the future. It all depends on the company you choose to work for. For me, things I know about it, it's hands-on work. You're not stuck inside all day. I found that with kind of typical working, in typical jobs, you kind of get stuck inside in an office. And some people enjoy it. It wasn't for me. Kind of learning things. It was surprised at science. I didn't expect to see so much science in this career. But like I said, it's interesting, but not really too hard to understand. Good pay and a degree of independence. Because when you're in the residential, even commercial to a degree, the company gives you a car, and then they tell you that you have 3 or 4 appointments a day, and you just need these appointments. You're not constantly off over your shoulder. You got to get your job done, drive to places, and you basically control your fate. And that's I like that. You're even if you're not working for yourself, and sometimes it feels like it because you're just driving around doing things you have to get done that day, talking to the main office when needed. These are the companies you can do to prepare yourself if you're interested in this field. If you graduate high school, that's for sure. I'm just in there because it has to be done. Also, I've actually met a couple people who did it this way. Sometimes you may be able to find a company that might be willing to help pay for your education. Education itself, we can get into that later if you have questions about it. It's not too expensive, but it is a cost. The companies will be able to help pay for you. Obviously, you would have to stick with the company for a certain amount of time. So that's just a possible area to go. Job internship, you can always get as a baseball doing grunt work like putting off dirty air conditioners or, like I said, moving food out of freezers. There's always some way to get into a job at the lowest level, get talk to the boss, get them liking it. Also, some places offer summer technical classes where you get kind of a basic overview of it if you have other things you need to do. But, this is more for like young high school kids if they kind of get started early, take a summer tech class. I believe that's all I really have right there. I hope I didn't sound too rambling to you guys. I can go on about a bunch more things, but I guess I don't really know specifically what to talk about. So if you have questions, I guess I can answer those.
Does anyone have any questions for Brian right now about what he talked about?
No.
No?
Nope.
Industry, and I will talk to you later. Thank you all for coming.